guys find purpose instead of pussy.
We have Sirhud Kalra out here. He's here to f it up.
The processes through which girls could become women and boys could become men, and none of that exists today. We as men are not men anymore. Testosterone which men produce today has gone way down. The testosterone in women has increased over time. Alright. All of this is happening because the targeted attacks on us are via the food, the water, consciousness, the kind of media which is being portrayed onto us. Growth, success, hustle, etc. has been sold to us. Feeling pleasure that wow, I fucking went on Instagram today and it's like loneliness is the true pandemic. All of us, just like night and day, zero and infinity, positive, negative, everything exists in duality. You can't survive without a man, and men cannot survive without a woman.
Okay, boss, like the viewers are not even ready for this. Thanks so much. Yeah, wait, let's just give you some coffee. Hey you, welcome to another exciting episode on RAWR with Sneha. I am your host Sneha Desai, and RAWR is a talk show where you unleash the power of love and relationships. But before we go ahead with today's episode, do not forget to hit that subscribe button because that helps us roar even louder. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about what it truly takes to be a man. What is masculinity? Yes, so we have Sirhud Kalra out here. You were in the same college 10 years back and we happened to meet recently. And he had so many things to talk about relationships, talk about what men need to do, what women need to do. And I thought that he needs to be out here talking to the viewers because I think he thinks very different. And as he said in his own words that he's here to fuck it up. Like really go all out with his thoughts and what he thinks about. So, Sirhud, you welcome on RAWR with Sneha.
Thank you.
Yes, and tell me, you talk about the free man ideology, like I've seen in on your YouTube videos. What is it exactly? What is it to be a free man?
Okay, so the ideology is one thing and what it is to be a free man is a very different question. We need Shivji to be sitting with us over here to have that conversation, to be honest.
Okay.
But I mean, in order to kind of make it easy for people to understand in terms of a mythology or a story, because that's how people kind of understand things better through storytelling. What the free man is something which came into existence when I started doing the work which I do, which primarily focuses on helping boys become men.
Okay.
Because those kind of processes now do not exist in society, which used to exist in historic times, or the way life and society was unadulterated or uncorrupted via globalization, education, the way it is now, technology, agendas, etc. There were processes through which girls could become women and boys could become men, and none of that exists today. And there's a lot of forces at play which want to turn men into women and women into men, and hence we have the kind of disruption that we have in society today.
Yeah.
So when I was on the journey of switching my entire life to start doing what I do now, and I wanted to become a coach for men, I wanted to help guys find purpose instead of pussy, basically.
Yeah.
And
one of your videos says that.
Yeah. And I wanted them to have that kind of a grounding, or some sort of a internal resilience which kind of used to exist in the generations of our fathers and grandfathers.
Okay.
And the problem is that nowadays women are not able to respect men because many men are not acting in respect worthy kind of ways, and this is not to put the blame just on them. The blame is to be shared by all of us equally actually. But the free man came into existence when I started doing this work under my personal brand, which was just Sirhud Kalra. And then I realized that this thing is something much bigger than just me, and this is something which is to act as a roadmap for not just men but even women to kind of adapt in our lives according to the times of today.
Okay.
Because the man stands for mankind in the free man. And the thing is, when it comes to internal evolution, beyond a certain point, whether you're a male or a female, things will stop mattering to you. Simply because you start losing more of your own identity the more you actually evolve, and the more you actually get in touch with your true inner source. And then you will, like, basically what happens is that kind of a connection or that kind of love is a great equalizer. So then you are not able to see men and women differently.
So you spoke about how the females are losing femininity and they are becoming more masculine. Do you think that is happening also because males are not, like as you said, that they are not in the truest sense masculine? So I think, don't you think because of that we have to sort of take those roles in our lives? For example, आज अगर घर चलाना है, example, you're saying the corporate woman. I know so many people, they have to work because the man cannot suffice to the expense of the family. And the demands of today's society are different. Okay, to sort of exist, when you have kids, then you have XYZ expenses. So what can a woman truly do then? Don't you think that the circumstances have also led for a woman to become like this?
So this is the most popular reasoning which has again been sold to women, again via social media, again which is a place full of lies. Because again it is very easy to be buying into a story where we have no responsibility and the blame can be put on the other party.
Okay.
Both from men and women side.
Acha.
Okay, so your question is of two parts. First one was, if the women are more masculine today, don't you think it is because the men are less masculine? And the second one was to do with finances and blah 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 blah.
Okay, yeah.
Let's speak about the first one. In the first one, no, women are not more masculine today because there's lesser masculine men in society. That is us trying to draw a correlation and say that again men are at fault because of blah blah blah, women are like this. Again, if any of us start getting beyond the divide and conquer policies which are operating within us and are being enforced upon us in every way, BJP, Congress, Hindu, Muslim, this, that, in every sense, divide and conquer is still being used today. All right. Fear is another thing which is being used today. Please just switch on any news channel. I don't know. I haven't seen television in probably 16 years by now.
Okay.
All right. But the same story is sold with different faces, different blah blah blah, etc. All of us are collectively their targets, and that is why we waste our time fighting amongst ourselves instead of realizing that all the shit coming to us from the top is fake and used to control us.
Okay.
All right. So now let's put that on the side. Let's come to answering this at a simpler to understand level beyond the collective consciousness part, which we can keep on the side. The reason why women are more masculine and the men are more feminine compared to previous times is because we are continuously being meddled with physically, mentally, emotionally.
Okay.
How? Even the okay, so a very simple example would be the rate at which women today get PCOS, PCOD, etc. never used to exist before.
Yeah.
The rate at which depression, anxiety is in society today never used to exist before.
Yeah.
And like this, I can give a list of examples. Why is that happening? Everything from our food to our water is corrupted. All right?
Yeah.
Our food is grown in such a way where it's genetically modified. If we are consuming genetically modified stuff, how well are our natural genes going to interact with it? Not that well.
Yeah.
All right. On top of that, most of the food is processed, where a lot of the stuff, basically food has become another industry.
Yeah.
All right. Just like women.
Yeah.
On Instagram, it has been turned into an industry. Women think utilizing Instagram to grow their account is their excuse is that this gives me a livelihood, but actually it's not. The primary reason is they like the attention. It's a drug. And they are naive and young, so they are not able to understand the negative consequences of it.
Okay.
But basically, they don't ultimately realize that they are the product which Instagram is selling with zero manufacturing cost. You buy your own lights, you buy your own camera, you buy your own bikinis, you buy your own vacation, whether you are taking money from your parents or dating guys and lying to them in order to, have some sort of a sugar daddy situation or whatever. And the same thing is with men, and this is just a bullshit fucking world now.
Yeah.
All right. But the reason why the masculinity is increasing and the femininity is also increasing in both women and men respectively is because our hormonal profiles are no longer the same which they used to be before. So even if you look at the testosterone which men produce today has gone way down compared to the testosterone which used to be produced in men before.
Okay.
All right. Same is with women. The testosterone in women has increased over time. All right. All of this is happening because the targeted attacks on us are via the food, the water, consciousness, the kind of media which is being portrayed onto us.
Okay.
If you will look at the media portrayed onto men and if you look at the media portrayed onto women, it's very different.
Okay. How?
While collectively, yes, ultimately it makes all of us feel like shit.
Yeah.
And the reason it makes all of us feel like shit is because half an hour scrolling through this stuff, internally you will feel disgust. If you can understand what your body is trying to tell you and you check
can feel hollow.
yourself, you're not feeling pleasure that, wow, I fucking went on Instagram today and
it just
wow, no, it's like,
yeah,
what is happening in the world?
Yeah, true.
That is the commonality for both men and women. But the targeted difference from the algorithm is to make men feel like shit in every possible way. And for women, to make them feel great in every possible way.
Okay.
So to women, a false, even though women also have the insecurity, etc., because there are beautiful models and all of that, but I'm speaking generally.
Okay.
All right. If you take every kind of content into consideration, etc., the more hyper-inflated the sense of self you make for a woman, the more you're disconnecting her from life and making it very difficult for her to fit into society, family, her own happiness.
Okay.
The more deflated you make a man, the same thing happens for him. Because we are never the same. So even the attacks on us are not the same.
Okay.
All right. Hence, you will have problem finding a husband today because almost every man will come across as lesser than you. In your eyes, you've not spent time. You don't know the truth. But unfortunately, because of the speed at which you need to make a decision, you're going to disqualify. Whereas I think a bunch of them would actually be very good for you if you knew your true self-worth in today's marriage market.
Okay.
Same thing goes for men. They are underselling themselves.
Okay.
All right. And because of that deflated sense of self, sooner or later, I think there's a word on the internet, simping culture and all this kind of stuff which is going on. All of this is happening because we as men are not men anymore.
Why?
Because we are boyish in our behavior, our action, our thoughts, our everything, and also, as I spoke about a little bit when it comes to the convenience and the ease and the way women are being taken forward, men are being suppressed behind.
Suppressed, yeah.
So a lot of the opportunities which a male needs to grow in life are not being given to him.
Okay.
We touched on something which was, before there used to be processes which used to exist in society and different cultures, where a male had to go through tribulation, trials, hardship, and if he came through, then he was considered worthy by the clan to have a wife and to be called a defender of the tribe.
Okay.
Otherwise, most probably he wouldn't return from the forest only. All right. That doesn't exist today.
Okay.
All the business class families are buying their son's college degree as well as daughters, and they're buying their way through life. Which totally steals the chance for a person to actually build their own character and different qualities which are truly needed to navigate this hard world.
So to prove, like a man needs to sort of prove.
No, he doesn't need to prove anything.
Okay.
He just needs to do shit.
Start doing more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whether
but that is taken away by the society.
Whether he wins or loses,
that
doesn't matter.
Okay.
What matters is he willing to go the distance?
Okay.
Including for you as a woman. What matters is is he willing to go the distance? So, unfortunately, those chances have been taken away from men. And it has been sold to women that you are the ones who must do all of this. Under the illusion of empowerment, which actually makes them weaker, because all it does for them is make their life more complicated. And tough and delayed in a lot of different ways. And all of us hence suffer together for all of this.
Okay. But what would you suggest? Like now that, okay, there is a gap in the society in general. And as you said that these privileges are not available to a man and to a woman.
They are not privileges. There were processes
There were
which were
processes.
essential.
Yeah.
They've been taken away.
They've been taken away. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're not there. So how can today's man in general, so whoever is listening to this, or a woman, how can they sort of tap into their, femininity or masculinity so that they can nurture better relationships?
Okay. So I'm somebody who believes in doing something simply if it is worth doing. I don't care about the results which come from it, whether it helps in relationships or not. Because
Okay.
if it is something worth doing, it'll help you universally.
Okay.
If it is not something worth doing, then it means you are being sold into that because of one particular winning agenda. That this might increase my chance of either relationships or might increase my chance of this or that, whatever. Many women today think they might have to get some sort of a cosmetic procedure done to themselves because it will help me in,
Yeah.
only one context. I think we all should live lives in a more connected to life manner and more universal, because your one action will have a beautiful ripple effect in every aspect of life.
Okay.
All right. So let's say instead of getting a cosmetic procedure, it might just be better to work on your nature as a human being, because that will make you automatically more attractive to
yeah.
everyone, regardless of your physical appearance. Because ultimately, what men also of today need and want from women is not just physical appearance. Physical appearance is 100% important for men, but what is more important is peace of mind.
Yeah.
And hence, if you as a woman are able to provide that to a man, that place which becomes his warmth is something which he cannot put a price or a value on, because physical appearance women are nowadays very easily
Yeah.
bought by money.
Yeah.
And not because men are bad, but because they are putting themselves on sale everywhere. So anyway, the question was about what do the men and women,
How
what-
can they do?
Yeah.
How can they sort of like?
Yeah. So first, let's talk about men. And I can share what I did. All right. I voluntarily invited shit into my life.
Okay.
Okay. Because I realized I don't come from a business or a very rich family or something like that. My parents have always served society via education, and my father and everyone actually being in the Army, Navy, Air Force. But Indian parents love their children to a point of weakening them.
Okay.
All right, they love their children too much. So the beautiful thing about love is it needs to be balanced with a healthy amount of non-harmful, in a traumatic way, kind of pain.
Okay.
All right, which means, let's say I love the boys of my team. All right, they're like my children, because now my femininity has been rising, so I'm a fucking mother now. All right, now if I forgive everything which they do, or if I never get angry, just like a mother, all right, even if a son does a murder and comes to a mother, most mothers will be like,
ठीक है.
yeah, they'll do anything to keep this guy
this guy.
safe, right?
Yeah.
That's not right. You're taking away the life lessons of responsibility from a human being. So Indian parents basically weaken their children because of the amount they love them. All right. And that love is what a man needs to voluntarily say bye to while growing up. The earlier the better,
Okay.
because the earlier you make mistakes in life, the sooner you get wiser,
Okay.
as well as you have less costs, which are the fallout effects of making a mistake in life. All right. So it is better to do that sooner rather than later, that a man voluntarily leaves his house and tries to live on his own.
Okay.
And this is not just about financial independence. That actually is very easy in today's world. Only most of us will never be financially independent because of, again, the way the agenda is to make everything more expensive, and the quality of everything is going down while the price of everything is going up, such as this beautiful phone over here. All right. So again, all of us are collectively targets of that. But what a man needs to do is to become able by himself to live by himself, do things by himself, regardless of whether he wins or loses. He needs to put himself through the trial and the tribulation.
Yeah, but most of the Indian families don't let their sons live away from the family.
Because
I know so many of my friends who are
already the way the son is living, the parents are scared that if this guy actually tries to do something like that, he'll fall flat on his face. I know there's a major problem of Indian children and Indian parents.
Yeah.
All right. Children are equally to blame.
Okay.
Why? Because first of all, at the age of 18, you're not really a children. All right.
You're not a child anymore.
What you need to do is demonstrate to your parents via your behavior that you are trustworthy and you are not a liar.
Okay.
Okay. So you basically ask for your freedom by being open with your parents instead of hiding, lying, cheating your own parents.
Okay.
Such as you being a girl would have lied to your parents how many times for night stays and meeting your boyfriends, etc.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
With a girl, I can understand it's an even more different situation. But either way, what all of us could practice is more honesty and openness with our own parents,
Okay.
which gives them a sense of trust. So that finally, when you might know what you want to do in life or the experience you want to go through and you speak to them about it, you've at least demonstrated
Yeah.
over the course of recent years that maybe I'm worth it.
Yeah.
Your parents don't want to suppress you or your chances of growth. What Indian parents want to do is make sure that the fucking child survives and doesn't die. Alright? But if the boys you're talking about,
But I don't think they would die. Like, I mean, they're just going
I mean, die-
they're just going to make some mistakes, learn through them. I mean, nobody's going to go that extreme. I'm just
so
trying
when
to
I'm
say,
saying die, I mean metaphorically
yeah.
that their sense of self, etc., will collapse. Because currently, the sense of self which even 30-year-old people in India have is not built by themselves. It's coming from the family background.
yeah, but once they leave the house, even if they know how to manage or they don't know how to manage, maybe leaving the house will teach them how to live.
Yeah. So why do the parents say no? Parents are wiser than us because they've seen more of life than us. All right. We need to give them that much respect. Now, the reason why many parents might be against a child saying that this is what I want to do and hence going to do it is because unfortunately most of the youngsters today, when they want to do something of their own, it is not actually of their own. It is what is the latest trend, such as becoming an influencer. So many of the youngsters of today's Indian parents now want to buy cameras and lights and stuff to do something at home where all they're trying to do is look like somebody else. All right. The parents can see that he's again been fooled, just like in school days he was fooled by the popular kids or this or that, and again it's the same thing. So automatically they don't give permission. And how do you expect them to explain all of this to the child who is so lost in his own ego growth thanks to now children having smartphones, etc., at a much earlier age compared to people like us when it came into our lives, that they are just sold.
No, but there
In
is
every sense.
No, but there are instances where a kid knows what is his inner calling, and parents don't let them do that. Like, I know so many instances where because of the trauma the parents are carrying, because of their childhood, which is sort of given to them through generational trauma, they are not open to new ideas.
I understand, but I don't think that applies to everyone. I
But
think it applies
majorly
to
to a
very few
section-
people, and also I would welcome you to later on check with your friends as to what is the real truth, because again what you know is one side. All right. Maybe if you have an equally deep conversation, which I'm presuming you've had with your friend, with their parents, maybe you'll come to know something very different. So I get it what you're saying, but the truth is that no, most of us in our generations are very disillusioned, both when it comes to relationships, when it comes to what we want to do in life,
Okay.
everything.
Okay.
All right, because of which you might think you know what you want, but it might be you wanting to do that because you think that is cool, or you think that that is different, etc., etc., etc. It's not necessary that that is true to your soul's true constituency and who you really are as a person, because that anyways is a discovering journey, right?
Okay.
So all of a sudden at 22 or 26 or something, if you decide to put a claim on your life, you better have already been demonstrating it since a while, right? Because ultimately you are getting away from the guardians who have made sure that you don't die till now. So what they've done for 20 years, you want them to flip in 1 month. It's obviously not that easy and possible.
Got it. Okay,
go.
tell me, Sirhud. Like, I have been meeting guys. I've met 100 plus guys, okay, in this arranged marriage process.
Wow.
What do you think is going wrong with men today?
What do you think is going wrong with you?
Okay, with me also. What do you think is going wrong?
Okay, good question actually.
Yeah, because that is something that I can really relate to, and that, like, you're a friend who I've met after like ages.
Yeah.
So let's get there. Like, what do you think?
Okay, so this is basically something which everyone is, facing some sort of a challenge with.
Yeah.
Trying to find somebody with whom either they can be in a relationship with
Yeah.
or in a marriage with, etc. And this is happening from both men and women.
Women, yeah.
And this is basically the first proper question of this podcast. And now we start. So, if you are having struggle finding the guy you think you can settle with, is because most probably you're not finding a guy who is screaming that he is erect. And I mean erect in a metaphorical way.
Okay.
I mean by the kind of force or energy that he's carrying. Unfortunately, the times we are living in, trust is the biggest fundamental problem of society today.
Okay.
Whether you interacting with anything for a business, for dating, for anything,
Yeah.
trust is the actual fundamental problem.
Yeah.
So for you as a woman, most of the guys you are coming across will not come across as either trustworthy, where they could be any kind of a guy,
Yeah.
but they are showing that and then they are living that. All right, that is one thing. Basically, their energy is not that true.
Yeah.
All right, so hence your internal intuition or your gut will never agree in going ahead
Yes.
with somebody,
Yes.
especially because right now you're looking in the context of marriage.
Yeah.
So actually what you're looking for is not a husband but for the right seed. All right, physiologically,
Okay.
biologically, and emotionally in your own life journey as a woman. You're looking for a man whose seed is basically worthy enough to take into yourself and then nurture it
Yeah.
and then bring new life into this world.
Okay.
So if you are having men in society who are not erect, all right, who don't have their back straight, who are not honorable via their code of conduct, then you have men who are bending over backwards either for money or for their families or for women or for society, whatever. Whatever they have been sold is cool or worth attaining, etc.
Yeah.
They don't have their own life.
Yeah.
They don't have their own path.
Yeah.
And hence you can't find that erection in them which is worthy enough
Yes.
to live with.
Yeah.
That kind of solar radiance which is dependable, shines every day, and you as a woman can align your cycles with it.
With it, yeah. So that's what, because when I have met so many guys, as you just said very rightly, the factor of trust, because I feel that most of the men out there don't know who they are, which is what, that's when I think deep down I start questioning, because then I can't trust a man who doesn't know who he is. Or I see like so many Indian boys or men, because who are just going to get married maybe, like there's a great dissociation to who they are and what they portray in front of their families. So a guy can be like, हाँ मैं दारू पीता हूँ लेकिन मैं बाहर जाके पीता हूँ लेकिन मम्मी को नहीं पता है या घर पे नहीं पता है, but I do something like this. Or there are men who are like, हाँ मैं sneak out करता हूँ रात को पार्टी करने के लिए after my family sleeps. So the boy is trying to portray that मैं family के सामने ये image लेके हूँ, मैं सही हूँ, but मेरा दिल जो कर रहा है, they can't talk up to it. And then somewhere deep down I'm like, if he cannot talk for what he wants, how is he ever going to talk for something that I want?
So first of all, thank you for that question, but I'm gonna slow us down a little bit
Yeah.
because now I want to come to the other side of the first question.
Okay.
When I said, but what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And here I'm not picking on you as an individual, I'm just saying that even many men probably are not able to decide which woman to go ahead with.
Yeah.
But actually they're worse when it comes to this decision making because they don't know themselves rightly. But the thing is that this problem is from both the ends.
Yeah.
And the problem again from both the ends is because just as you said that men do not know who they are, the same way women also do not know who they are
Okay.
today. And there are many different reasons for that. They have actually been the target of a lot of socio-political things, different kinds of movements, which have actually misled them into thinking that certain kinds of lifestyles are what mean empowerment. Whereas those are the lifestyles where if you will speak to any mature elder woman today who fell into the same traps and today will speak honestly,
Okay.
because very rarely do women admit their mistakes. Men admit their mistakes more easily than women. But if we are able to find women who are going to openly communicate that they took the same life decisions after getting sold into the same agendas, they are not that happy today. And what,
so what
I have,
are these social?
such as the
example?
such as the extreme kinds of feminism, which talks about that you don't need a man and that the future is female, etc. Why do we need to prioritize any one gender when both are obviously not able to do without each other?
Yeah.
All right.
True.
And also the kind of fallacies which are very clearly evident in that movement, which only wants to put down men but at the same time just become like men. It doesn't make sense, right? So many of the people who unfortunately believed all of this because social media encouraged it. There are stickers and those kind of different features, and then it's trendy and it's also preferred by algorithms, etc. This kind of behavior is being reinforced via marketing, advertising,
Okay.
to the point where now there are more initiatives by governments, this, that, everything all in the favor of one gender, including very biased laws and many other things. So what this is doing is it is supporting the wrong use of empowerment in a way where we are seeing that majority of the cases also nowadays of dowry and this and that are basically fake cases. And there's actually women fighting for men's rights now,
Okay.
to the level at which this poison has now spread into society.
Yeah, but don't you think that it came also because patriarchy was, once patriarchy was at its highest, and because this one gender suffered a lot back then, and this is coming out because of those layers, that the pile-on has been so much due to all these decades and years, that finally it is coming out in the wrong way. Maybe you can say that it's coming out, but maybe it's not the right way.
Yeah.
But it's just because once it was about patriarchy, men used to dominate women. That was the truth.
So when I'm talking, I'm not trying to negate any of the suffering which women have ever had. All right. But we need to realize this, that everyone basically has been again conditioned via social media for all of this. That knowledge is wrong.
Okay.
If anybody dives deeper into researching any of this, they'll find that actually women today are way more unhappy compared to women in the past.
Why?
Many different reasons, but let's say, before we dive deeper into this, to talk about patriarchy, matriarchy, etc., nothing is in totality good or bad. There are shadow aspects of any element of human life which has darkness or negativity to it, and it comes out.
Okay.
Now the only thing is, when men bring their negativity out, it is more overt and directly visible, and hence it's easier to catch it.
Okay.
When women bring their negativity and toxicity out, it is very subliminal and very covert, and it is not easy to catch at all.
Example?
Such as the way, let's say, a woman might over time end up making her male partner or her husband feel like worthless and basically nothing,
Okay.
but that's going to be purely psychological.
Okay.
It won't be via
It won't be
any physical
seen.
act.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
And again, none of this is to single out anyone. Like, I'm not interested in figuring out who's wrong. I'm only interested in figuring out what are we as a society lacking today, so that this widening gap between the masculine and the feminine, both within human beings as well as within ourselves, stops, and we are able to bring it back together
Okay.
in union, which is wholesome and hearty for everyone, from our children to our parents to ourselves. Because all we are doing by passing the buck around of the blame, that but women suffered for so many years, or men did this, etc., that's all fine, cool, nobody is, let's say, negating anything. But if we boil it down to what is happening today, we can't, let's say, progress one gender at the cost of leaving one gender completely behind.
Okay.
And on the other hand, the aim was to bring back balance when it comes to equal opportunity and stuff like that. Now it has gone way beyond that. All right. So today, to be a general category man in India, you can forget anything in life in order to make it, whether you're trying for government jobs, whether you're trying for entrance exams, whatever, which, by the way, I don't subscribe to anyways. I think all of that is fake bullshit in a lot of ways, because this is how society has been engineered and people are still following the rat race in a lot of ways. But that is one step beyond to look at how normal people who are asleep and choreographed by the powers that be are living. In that, a man is going to be finished off the face of this planet the way things are going. Who is going to suffer the most because of that?
Women.
Women.
Yeah.
So it's best if we just stop figuring out what happened 500 years ago, because that doesn't really have that much of an effect today compared to what is actually happening today.
But how does one like reduce this gap in the society? First, we'll talk about, and then you said a very nice thing that within us also.
Yeah, that is the primary
That
place
is
where
the-
it has to happen.
Okay, so
So if it happens there, so okay, let's talk about that. That's actually a nice thing to speak about.
yeah, how can one reduce the gap? Like, what is this gap exactly?
So I wrote something recently in the writings which I share on my Telegram or my own website.
1 minute, one more. Before getting there, also, within oneself, what is being masculine and what is feminine? First, and then we can get to the gap.
Okay.
Of what? Yeah.
So let me start with
Yeah.
the writing. The writing was the feminism we need today.
Okay.
The masculine in women needs to be reduced by women themselves,
Okay.
and the feminine in women, in men,
Okay.
needs to be increased
Okay.
by men.
Okay.
What that is trying to say, these are not the exact words. The exact words are put better actually, and they make sense just via reading them intuitively. But this is the base of it, that today the masculine potential of women is being utilized by everything from corporations to the way everything has been built, and is actually being exaggerated,
Okay.
which is leading to women being unhappy. The feminine in men is absent. So that is the other polar end of the spectrum. So for
Okay.
women, there's too much masculine energy going on, and
In
for
what
men,
ways?
I'll come there. And for this is one way actually, the curiosity and the
Yeah.
that this thing, which is fine. And with men, what is happening is that the feminine is completely absent. Now let's speak about in which ways.
Yeah.
Growth, success, hustle, etc. has been sold to us. All right. Women are also part of the same game which has been sold to us. So
Yeah.
they are now going too extreme on those things which they think is going to give them happiness, and which are more in terms of nature, they are more masculine. So there's more competitiveness,
Okay.
there's more hierarchy, there's more structure, all themes which are very antithetical to the natural themes of being a woman,
Okay.
which is boundarylessness, which means no hierarchy, which means a state of flow, not a structured step-by-step approach, which means cyclical movement. All right. These are the things which a woman very naturally imbibes herself into, because this is who she is. But today she thinks being a strong, independent woman means being masculine. She doesn't think this directly. It is just
It's
out of what
happening.
has been sold to her.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, very few people are actually speaking the truth about these things. So now it is best if you will speak to women who are working in corporates, that do you prefer a male boss or do you prefer a female boss? And you'll be shocked that almost every woman will say that I hate female bosses because they take out all their anger, frustration, etc. on me.
Okay.
And normally, if they're very highly successful, normally, I'm not saying a highly successful corporate woman cannot have a husband. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you speak on ground reality to people, try to figure out for yourself what is happening for the sake of reducing collective pain, not for your intellect or this or that. That you'll figure out that unfortunately, even women are not happy with, let's say, women superiors in the office. Not all, there are of course great ones as
Yeah.
well. So that is the way in which getting dragged into being more masculine is actually hurting women.
Okay.
And you'll find them staying alone at home at 40 with a cat and then saying that I'm very happy in life, whereas that is what they're saying on the screen.
Okay.
And the thing with the screen, social media, from both men and women's sides, is that in today's society, Instagram is the best way to see the shadow side of society.
Okay.
All right, which means what is the thing which they're actually feeling. So whatever anyone is portraying, the truth is the opposite.
Got it.
Okay. Now let's come to men. Men have zero idea of what their emotional state is at any given moment. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, if they get the ability to recognize it, the
Okay.
second ability which they don't have is, okay, how do I behave in this or manage this?
Deal
or
with this.
how do I let myself be at ease and peace with it?
Okay.
All right. So let's say many times when a man might get angry and hit somebody else, all right, a man or even somebody fighting on the road or whatever, most of the times anger is again the shadow side projection of internal fear or lack of love for a
Okay.
person.
Yeah.
All right. But let's say because a man does not know how to be in touch with his own femininity, he will not know that how do I feel the lack of love for myself, or how do I feel that I'm afraid that I don't have somebody to connect with in life. All right. So everything comes out in a way in which he's comfortable to behave, which is normally through his physicality.
Okay.
So even sexual interaction, if you'll see between men and women, for men it's very physical. The act itself, if you will think, a woman has to be emotionally receiving a man.
Yeah.
A man has to be physically giving.
Yeah.
A woman just chills, right?
Yeah.
But she's not just chilling. Actually, she's opening herself up
Emotionally,
in
yeah.
many different doorways,
Yeah.
spiritual, emotional, etc. And the man has to put physical effort into that. So physicality is the man's first and autonomous kind of preferred way of expressing.
Okay.
But the thing is, every emotion, first of all, doesn't need to be expressed physically. And before you even come into expressing an emotion, it is better that we can understand what exactly are we feeling. Because let's say,
yeah.
even if, I ask you how you're feeling and you say I'm feeling good, or you say I'm feeling bad, based on the amount of honesty you have with yourself and then with the rest of the world. Good can mean many things.
Yeah.
Elated, excited, positive, whatever. There's a bunch of different good emotions and
Yeah.
there's a bunch of different bad emotions.
emotions. Yeah.
So men are not in touch with their feminine self at all, and emotions is one side of it. Sensitivity is another side of it. Being connected with their own heart instead of just the penis or just the mind is another side of it.
Yeah.
Because even in today's society, where we know a lot of casual sex is happening between men and women, both are being casual,
Yeah.
but both later go and talk ill about the other party if that talk happens. All right. Both of you, a man and a woman, the woman is doing this because she is more on the masculine side of things. That is
Okay.
why her promiscuity has increased. That is why her risk-taking behavior has increased. All right. A man is doing it with no femininity. So he's doing it just for the physical act.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to actually allow a woman to bloom as a flower in his presence. So she's still closed and constricted, but then there is still the penetration happening, which actually she is not enjoying. She believes that she's supposed to enjoy this, and this is what makes her again strong and independent, that she's practicing this autonomy with her body. But this is when she's young
Yeah.
and she's brainwashed, and then as she ages with time, matures, realizes that many of
That
the
was
men
not
I was with, I should not have allowed myself to expose myself to them
Them. Yeah.
internally. And now you can't suddenly start blaming the men. You did that
Yeah.
in the first place.
Yeah.
So later on, if any of us realize any of the things which are maturity lessons for us, it is better if we can absorb and learn them for the collective. All
Got
right.
it.
So let's say if I, as a man, am having a life experience, how can I imbibe that experience that it benefits every aspect of me? Because accordingly, I'll be able to share that with the whole world. So if I get more in, basically, if I get, let's say, an increased amount of sensitivity in my life, then I can understand the pace of things such as this conversation. And I can start regulating it at a level where it is collectively beneficial. Same way I can be sensitive to, let's say, you and me together, we go somewhere, there are other people and we are supposed to interact with everyone. And most social interactions are completely fake. Whether you take nightclubs or whether you take ballrooms or whether you take a nice fancy dinner, the whole fucking society is just, how are you? I'm good, how are you? It's a programmed response. You can't be good every day.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's how.
But people we interact with daily in work and this and that, we ask how are you, and people just say I'm good, how are you? And that's such a shitty fake thing to do, right?
Yeah.
It is better to just be honest that today I'm actually, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm not feeling great. You give the other person a chance to practice love by first being sensitive and vulnerable yourself. Because all of us, when we are roaming around in society, whether you're going through the marriage market or whether like I'm going through, I don't know, a social group setting, there's that face with which we are acting and trying to show that I'm fine in life. Nobody is fine in today's life.
Yeah, true.
All right. Loneliness is the true pandemic, not the one which was sold to us. All right. And the same way, depression, anxiety, etc., everything is through the roof. So there is a collective darkness which is radiating inside every soul as of today. And it is here collectively for reasons which again is a long story and we can speak about it. Let me wind up for now. No, I brought things in my way.
Into your way, in your life.
Because if I was growing up the regular way, and I've not had a very Indian childhood, but if I grew up the regular way with Indian parents, I would have been a softie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I brought.
What else? Yeah. So we were continuing with how can a male be more masculine? Yeah. So in those regards. So this was one point. Like get more things into your life.
Invite shit
into your life. Yeah.
Or try to do things which are naturally curious to you.
Okay.
Instead of trying to do what everyone else is doing. Which sounds kind of generic, but the way I mean it is, take the classical Indian examples of everyone doing engineering. Everyone trying for IITs, IIMs. In my opinion, they are nothing. And why they are nothing in my opinion? Because if you will see the human beings who come out of these institutions at the ages of 40, 50, etc., you will wonder that how does his wife even all right? Because what the fuck is this? Like, this is somebody who's just nothing besides the nerdiness.
Yeah, got it. Yeah,
right?
because they've not seen life.
Yeah, and that is not true intelligence, by the way. It is just, I have programmed myself to win in this aspect of society's life. So I will do great in this. I have seen people memorize mathematics, problems and solutions from, let's say, 20 different preparation books, because all this shit just keeps circulating around. All right. So true knowledge or true ability is very different from the way our academia has been designed. All right. So basically, in that particular sense, even if you don't know what exactly you want to do, it is better that you don't get enrolled in, let's say, coaching institutes or try to become the next influencer or this or that, and rather just admit to yourself honestly that I do not know shit about what I want to do.
Okay.
And I need time. So it's better to spend 1 year not going to a fake class, belonging to a fake cohort and a fake life path of this is what I'm going to do. Because again, another very common phenomena which we are seeing of people in the recent generations is that what they study versus what they're doing is very different.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's better that after 12th you don't study only, no? Chill for a while. And
Yeah,
chill,
no,
I
what-
don't mean party and stuff like that. What I mean is try to get in touch with yourself that what is the thing where you are able to do something without caring that whether you will get paid for it or not.
Got it.
What is the thing that you can do even if you have already been awake for 24 hours and it doesn't still exhaust you? These are the kind of things which we as people of today, if we are able to discover for ourselves, we'll be able to more quickly realize what is the unique gift we are supposed to bring out. Because there is no lack of IIT, IIM guys. There is no lack of doctors. There is no lack of anything which society might hold in high prestige. On top of that, they are of the highest order today. The doctors are basically businessmen. All right. The lawyers are basically these were supposed to be noble professions.
Yeah, but they are
none
not-
of them
none
are
of them
being done in a noble manner.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
So these are the ways in which I would invite a man to expose himself to his own unknown.
Got it.
All right, and start fighting within himself, wrestling within himself, with himself, in every sense of his life, whether it's his physicality, whether it's his mentality, whether it's what he wants to do, etc., so that he builds a certain amount of confidence and resilience which has been given birth to by him himself,
Got it.
not via a certificate degree or not via a model girlfriend, etc., etc., etc.
Okay.
That's for the masculine side of
And
things.
for the females, what would you suggest that how can they sort of get more feminine?
Okay, so first of all, women don't need to get more feminine in terms of how they are born, because Prakriti has a very beautiful design, and all you need to do as a woman today is not get brainwashed. All right, so you don't need to increase your femininity. All you need to do is preserve it.
Okay.
You've already been blessed that you've been born as a woman. You are basically the symbolic embodiment of nurturing, abundance, prosperity, fortune, everything. Don't corrupt yourself and don't let it be taken away from you while you are deceived that this is for your good.
Okay.
All right. Now, every woman who would hear this from me should please take her own time to figure out how this applies to her
Okay.
and what it actually means. Because that's the beautiful thing with women, that for every woman the experience of life is actually a
Gonna be
little
different.
different compared to the way men on an average experience life.
No, but for a woman, for example, if she, say not the hustle culture, but if she really loves to do something in her life, then how can she not make it more about money and like any kind of processes or anything that you would want them to keep in mind, or how can they balance the yin and the yang or the masculine and the feminine that can actually like not make them more masculine? Are you understanding? Like balance those both energies that are within. Yeah. Yeah.
As I said, they don't need to do the measures the way I just spoke about men.
There
You
are
need to
no-
actually do shit.
Yeah.
What I'm
Women
telling the
need
women
to-
to do is to make sure that stuff is not done to them.
Okay. Okay. So
All right,
there's no doing
they
in them.
already have the femininity. All right, if they can just allow themselves to be natural and naturally them, even if all your friends are sleeping around and having hookups 3 in a fucking week in a city like Bangalore, you don't also need to become a part of the Bangalore. All right, just because your compatriots are doing it.
Yeah.
And you start questioning yourself that does that mean I'm not that attractive, or does that mean that I'm not modern, or does that mean this, or does that mean that?
Got it.
All you need to do is, do you internally truly think this is right or wrong? Because you have a better connection with nature, intuition compared to men, and you have that guidance.
Okay.
But if you will not use it and if you will disrespect it, it will be taken away from you, and accordingly all the blessings of the feminine will be taken away from you, such as good fortune, abundance, nurturing, nourishment, etc. So then whatever you will encounter in life will not have any of that,
Got it.
and then you will have a shit life, and then later on you will complain on Twitter,
Okay.
basically, and blame the entire opposite gender. Whereas all you need to do is understand that you are the most precious, delicate resource of this world, pure by birth. Don't let anything from agendas to geopolitics to WHO, WEF, these anyone
Yeah.
corrupt you.
Influence you and corrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't survive without a man. And men cannot survive without a woman. And I'm not talking survive in the fucking sense of the world and money and life and house and no. I'm talking energetically. You cannot survive without the polar end of this fucking duality that we are born into. Within yourself as well as in the outside
Outside
world.
world. Yeah.
All right. So understand what is naturally intuitive to you, and this is not to do just with sex, by the way. All right. Is this rolling? Because I'll speak on something.
Yeah. It's rolling.
All right. No, in the sense, do you need to finish it soon or no? When it comes to sex, this is not about sex being the one and only thing for a woman to figure out naturally, intuitively what is right for her or wrong.
Okay.
society needed prostitutes and celebrated prostitutes, including in our culture, all right? Because women are basically channels and they're receptacles, all right? And I don't again mean physically, I mean energetically. They are a conduit for energies from here to go to the moon.
Okay.
Okay, and the thing is, why that is important is because the moon signifies a lot of different things, such as a state of comfort, our state of nourishment, our state of emotions, because human beings are made up of water.
Okay.
What affects water the most on this planet?
The moon.
Is the moon.
Yeah.
All right. So there are many such things which I can speak about, but basically, sexuality is not what I'm trying to refer to in the one and only sense. I'm trying to talk about the consciousness which women are carrying today.
Okay.
All right. I'm trying to talk about the mentality which women are carrying today. I'm trying to talk about the emotions which women are carrying today. I'm trying to talk on all these fronts.
Okay.
So sex is one example, but a very important one, because women are the gatekeepers of a lot of things in society. And just like men are also the gatekeepers for the safety of a society. Before, if you'll ever see history, whenever the civilization started prospering to the point where the men started becoming lazy and weak, outsiders came and ruined it. All right, destroyed that civilization, pillaged through their fortune and their women, and basically, history had a new cycle, and we can see the same things happening today in a lot of different ways. All right, so all we need to realize is that we as men and women naturally, instinctually have certain drives which all of us are out of touch with, because our attention, which is the biggest resource, is under captivity from every sense. All right. So whether it's the food, whether it's what we are consuming, in every particular way, we are not in touch with ourselves.
Okay.
To the point where women and their menstrual cycles change a lot.
Change, yeah.
PCOS, PCOD,
It's very
miscarriages, not able to have conception, etc. In the same way, many lifestyle issues for men.
men, yeah.
All of this is happening where all of us are together being targeted from many different aspects, and we can, if you want in the future, have a conversation just around geopolitics, which is affecting everyone. And obviously, it surfaces in the field of love and relationships the most, because all of us, just like night and day, zero and infinity, positive, negative, everything exists in duality. So you being born into the conduit which you are born as will always find your reflection in the opposite, and will try to find that reflection in dealing with the opposite. Same would be for the men.
Yeah.
All right. But the problem is there is so much of pain circulating in humanity today, because the humanity has been taken away from human beings. We are not able to alchemize that pain.
Okay.
And all we are doing as human beings is passing it on to each other.
Okay.
All right. You've rejected 100 men. All right. I don't think you are happy.
No, even I've gotten rejected. It's not like
Fuck that.
Huh.
Even if you are the first actor in an act, you are also not happy. And so many men also would not be happy.
Yeah. True.
All right. And this is not to say that you could have compromised or found something. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about you most probably don't know truly what you're looking for. In the same way, the guys coming in the marriage market don't know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
For most of the people, all of this is another item on a checklist for life, which makes us have a fake sense of security. That, yeah, I am on the right path.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
To the point where women are getting married more for the reason of Instagram nowadays. Having children more for the reason of Instagram nowadays. To show over there to their other women that I am ahead now, or that I finally somebody invested into me, and I have the family and the everything.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in a lot of ways, and it's painful for everyone, but it's actually very easy to sort all of this out. It's just if all of us cut the shit with ourselves, it'll all neutralize very fast, and a lot of things will not have power over us.
But I think that is the most difficult part. I think most of them.
It's actually not.
I think most
It's
of them.
actually not difficult if you'll see how worthy it is. Then no fucking price will seem expensive for it.
So how have you cut it? Like, for example, if you. Like, how have you tried to build yourself in terms of keeping yourself out of the shit?
So, how I've done things will be a very long and a very different conversation, and
But
I'm more than happy to do that. But I'll share one thing, which was that from a very young age, I could see things for what they are rather than see things as they were being told to us to be seen as.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'm saying that when I was in India and when I was in school, and Facebook and all had just entered our lives when we were in 9th grade, 10th grade, etc. I could see that what has happened in the West is now going to be brought to India. So whether it's obesity via Starbucks and McDonald's, where today's children will not shut up unless the parents stuff this shit into their face, all right? Because the parents also don't want to have to deal with their children's shit because they're busy on their own phone, all right? From nutrition to whether it is the movement of fame-inism, not the true feminism, because you'd never see feminists fighting in Saudi Arabia or Afghanistan. You see them fighting in New York streets where, you know, it doesn't make sense. So, I knew that all of this is going to be brought here.
Okay.
Because the truth is that Indian society, not the way the world knows it, but the way our history was, is actually now the only way left, in my opinion, to save the world, where we learn how to live in accordance with nature and the laws of the universe.
Okay.
I'm not talking religion here.
Got it.
All right. So, our women and our country was Bharat Ma, and why it was considered Ma was because the energy of the divine feminine actually exists in this land. And it exists everywhere, but the way it exists here is very different. All right. Of which most women are today actually not aware of. And that energy has actually recognized this and has started taking revenge or making itself shown, but via its fierce forms right now. All right. Which is again a very different metaphysical and mythological oriented conversation. But coming back to how in my young days I could see that the next country under attack will be ours via all these agendas which have completely spoiled the West, both in terms of their health and in terms of their relationships. Because ages ago, over a decade ago, the statistics were that over 50% of children growing up in the United States were only growing up with one parent. All right. Now it is worse, a lot more.
Okay.
And I could see all of that with the advent of things like Facebook, etc., being brought here, because what people don't understand is they think, oh wow, Facebook, oh wow, Instagram, oh wow, WhatsApp, etc. They don't realize technology is the weapon used to enforce every geopolitical agenda.
Yeah.
All right. And that is why they were brought here. And then we saw that actually happening, that so much of confusion is there even in Indian society today, where we have been somebody who was able to live in unity with very diverse cultures for very long periods of time.
Yeah.
But now everything is fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
In a lot of ways, to the point where in many different pockets of the country, we are literally one tiny spark away from actual civil war and riots.
Yeah.
And in a bunch of ways, not just religion, I'm not even talking about religion. So, I could see all of that from a very young age, and I don't know why, but it never seemed to me to believe any of this. All right. It was just too obvious that women are women and men are men. It never made sense to me that you as a woman can be a man and hence you should be a man.
Got it.
And
the rules are different for
everything. Like,
Yeah.
and you know, unfortunately, we have to use the women example, even though people unnecessarily get triggered by it. But because, unfortunately, that is the gender which has been targeted more and is suffering today more. And now the problem is that you have to understand that the internet is also being choreographed. So with a very smart timing, they brought Andrew Tate. All right. After men have been in pain in the recent 10 to 15 years, because women were sold all of this, because of which they just went on any kind of a rampage. Men ended up simping or whatever, or you know, being cheated on and stuff like that, to the point where they've lost hope in relationships. That little suffering is there inside them. How to capitalize on that? Let's bring the shadow aspect of masculinity out and captivate all these 16-year-olds. It is not 40-year-old men listening to Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
All right, it is 16-year-olds. All right, who think that now they know how to be a man. And what is the complete truth of men and women.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not disrespecting Andrew, and I don't know what he talks about. I know a lot of what he talks about is probably true because I know he refers a lot to things which are biological truths. All right, but the problem is when you have an entire generation of youngsters on the internet who have not been able to build their self-worth till now because they as men are in the beginning of their journey, but are seeing their women compatriots already treat them like shit and behave more masculine than the men. The emasculation is real, the softness is real, the internal testicular force is still there, and it's very easy to capitalize on it by now the next trend on social media to be Andrew Tate.
Got it.
Because the stuff which he's talking about, a bunch of stuff for men I have been talking about, let's say for 8 years.
Yeah.
All right.
But now
my channel has been suppressed.
Got it.
After 3 years of its existence, we are continuously suppressed. Because anyone who's doing anything real on social media will find it difficult to grow.
Got it.
All right. Once the algorithms recognize it, because especially in the service of education or the service of society, if you will share truth, people will use all of these platforms less. All right. And they are not here for creativity. They are here to make imitators, not creators.
Yeah.
All right.
If you're talking something different, it's not going to.
Every second girl is a blogger now, has a tattoo on her breast, all right, wears the same clothes, goes to the same locations, does the same shoots in the same poses.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
So she's not strong and independent.
Yeah.
But that is not what she thinks.
Yeah, she thinks she's.
That is where the attack is.
Yeah.
Which is leading to her problems and is leading for men in their own ways to their problems. Everyone is prey to all of this. And the biggest example of all these mechanics was 2020. All right. But again, that's a whole different story. And I'll conclude this thing basically.
Got it.
With the 2020 example, where again we believed a lot of things. Where people are actually worse off today than they were before because now they are literally genetically modified human beings.
Got it.
End it by you, first of all, communicating your state of feeling to me about everything which you heard. It doesn't need to make sense. You just tell me about how you feel.
Though I feel that the whole conversation was very thought-provoking. I'm sure it has a lot of layers. So if somebody is sort of seeing also this podcast, I think every time they're going to get a new thought to sort of think upon or dwell upon, because it's not something that is just like कि हाँ ये बोल दिया, उसके पीछे काफी layers है, which I think this podcast leaves me with. And to be very honest, it was a pretty heavy podcast. Like I think even I am having a lot of thoughts at this point of time. So I would say thank you for coming on RAWR. And yes, I do have a lot of questions followed by this, but I think because of time, we'll have to end it out here. And thank you each one of you who's watching this episode. If you love this episode, do share it with your loved ones. Till then, keep embracing and rising in love, and do not forget, I RAW you.